Hi, I'm Kelly, and this is the owner's class for the SINGER LEGACY C440 sewing machine. Today we're going to go through a couple of the basic things to get you started sewing, like how to thread your machine and how to select a stitch. Included in your box is the instruction manual and this really handy quick start guide. Both of these will prove to be a great reference for you in the future, so want to hang on to those. Now let's take a quick look at your machine. To the right of your machine are two ports. One is for your power cord and the other is for your foot control. This is also where you'll find the power switch. Now we can lift up the lid, and this is where you'll thread your machine and wind a bobbin. We'll get to more of that in a minute. But also you'll note underneath your lid, this shows all of the 200 stitches that come on your machine. And they each are separated by categories, like your decorative stitches, satin stitches, quilt stitches, and more. On the front of your machine is your LCD screen and your direct stitch selection buttons, and we'll go into more detail on those later. To the left of your machine are your operational buttons. The top button here is your tack off button, and that's also to tie off stitches. This is your needle up down button for when you want to pivot your fabric while you're quilting or doing applique. These two buttons are your speed control buttons. Tortoise and the hare. Tortoise to go slower, the hare to go faster. My favorite button is our thread cutter button. This is your reverse button. And finally, this is your start-stop button when you want to sew without using your foot control. Under here is your presser foot lifter. This raises and lowers your presser foot. Whenever we're threading, we want to keep this in the up position. And then whenever we go to sew, we'll lower it. Also under here is your automatic needle threader, which threads your thread through the eye of your needle. This is the removable storage compartment. So when we take this off, this shows you your free arm. And this is great for when you want to hem a pair of pants or sew the cuff on your shirt, because your fabric can move underneath. And at the end of your storage compartment, there's a small lever here that if you squeeze it, a drawer will open. And inside here are all of the accessories included with your machine, like some extra needles, your spool cap, some bobbins, a brush to keep your machine clean, and then a bunch of accessory feet that are included, which we're going to take a look at now. The satin stitch foot is used for decorative machine stitching. It has a groove on the underside that lets your decorative stitches pass freely underneath. It's great for applique too. The overcasting foot is designed for sewing along fabric edges to help keep the edge from puckering while you sew. Use the blind hem foot to sew hems that are invisible from the top side of the fabric. There's an adjustable guide at the front to help you easily guide the fabric as you sew. The zipper foot is used for sewing zippers into your projects. You can also use this foot to make and insert piping. Use the buttonhole foot to sew buttonholes in one easy step. The machine sews a buttonhole perfectly sized for your button. You'll get professional looking results every time. The patchwork foot is used for sewing perfect 1/4 inch seams. Though typically used for quilting, it's also useful for sewing projects that have small seam allowances. Sew buttons on your projects with the button sewing foot. Your button is held firmly in place as the machine attaches the button to your project with a zigzag stitch. The open toe foot has a wide opening at the front, providing a clear view of your sewing area in front of the needle. This is super helpful when attaching ribbons and trims.